Hello, this is SSW. How is everybody? This is one of those streams, isn't it? Pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. All right, we got some good stuff going on here. Okay, I will be attending evening services. On this Sunday, so I decided to do a Sunday stream. During the day. I know you haven't heard from me. I've been off and on a little bit. But I've been doing okay. Pass me. All right. All right, we got some good stuff. So I'm glad to be here, you know. Sabrina, how you doing? How you doing? I wonder if you got any peppers. You got any pepper spray or pepper gel for those moments? Thank you, Sabrina. Well, if you just came in, give me a like, even though we're a small number today. You know, it's a thumbs up. Brain Dead, how you doing? All right. Well, I'll be attending evening services at church. I prefer the evening services over the morning. I'm not a morning person. All right. Okay. We got some good stuff here. Yes, I do, Brain Dead. I physically go to church. There's a church I attend. Now, I will say this. I'm not a perfect Christian. No Christian is. But I have, through the church, it's helped me quit some bad habits. And I've become more closer to God and less, carnal. And I praise God for that, because all glory goes to Him, Yeah, and I've been getting rid of those habits. Slowly but surely, Well, today I just not much. I got a lot. I'm doing something tonight when I go to church, but today, well, there's nothing to do, so I decided to come out and see. Awesome, Sabrina. So I decided to do this little stream. I want people know I'm getting my my bike fixed, my e-bike fixed. I'm getting that tire fixed. I know somebody. They already fixed my tire, and they'll bring it back and reinstall it. A family member. No. I'm fixing the one I already got. Okay, Brain Dead. Took me a while to find someone to fix it. I found someone to fix it. The tires fixed. My one of my family members took off the tire, took it back with him, and then put a new tire on it. Now it's fixed. It's gonna bring it back to me very soon, and put the tire back on, and I'll be back. I'll be riding again. So the saga is over. All right, that's some good stuff. That's some positive stuff. Of course I will. Brain dead. Yes, I know what happened. I almost died on the highway. Hey, that's life. We all have our appointed time, but God was looking over me that day. That's really what got me in the church. I did. I did, brain dead. Anyway, yeah, that's been going well. Now I had a great birthday party. Not a lot of people showed up. Sadly, I thought Sherry would show up, but she didn't show up. I don't know what's going on. Maybe Sherry's having some problems. Maybe, I don't know. She did have a heart attack. I don't know. No, it isn't. Brain dead. It is good to praise God. All right. Well, we got 5 likes. We got 5 views and only 1 like. 6 views and only 1 like. I think we can smash that like button, people. There we go. Now we're getting up there too. Chatters. I don't know. Chatters. Where are the chatters? Well, usually they don't hang. Usually I'll say this. Usually they're more proactive during the nighttime. They're night creatures. For some reason they like to hang around at nighttime. And I'm glad they're not here, to be honest with you. Yes, you are. Look, I'll put it this way. In a lot of ways, I'm glad they're not here. I really am. You got the people that actually like me and want to actually hear what I got to say in the chat right now. You don't got the trolls here, do you? This time of day. Oh, yeah. So in a lot of ways, I mean, it's not going to get as much visibility, this stream, because it'll get a lot of people here during the evening hours. But however, do you see many trolls in the chat talking shit? No. No, they're not. And that's music to my ears, by the way. Exactly. So I think that's a good thing. What part of the country are you living in, Sabrina? You say you're from Texas. Is there like a particular place in Texas where the ladies of the evening like to gather? Maybe it's a truck stop. I'm not sure. I'm asking what part of Texas are you? Oh, Houston. That explains everything. Yeah, toss that truck stop. Lot lizards. Oh, those lot lizards, right? Yeah. The ones that give truckers a nice warm night. Oh boy. The ladies of the night, yes. The streetwalkers, the working girls. Sabrina. No, they're just morons. They're just immature morons. Well, no, I wouldn't say they're morons. I would just say they're intelligent, but they're very immature. You know, when I was a kid, like I said this a million times, I did prank phone calls. I was 13. I messed with truckers on CB radios, and this was before the internet. There was no such thing as trolling. We didn't call it trolling back then. We called them prank phone calls, you know? But you know, when there's a time you grow out of that stuff. You become a man and well, you don't do that shit no more. You don't want to prank phone call people. And you certainly don't want to troll, but you got grown people trolling people on the internet. Does this say that these trolls have no life? I would say. Yeah, Sabrina. You know, I've seen how prostitutes dress in the modern era. Man, even the prostitutes of the '80s would blush at how hookers are dressed today. All they got hookers are just dressed in like lingerie out on the street. They're wearing a thong. And man, it's like bare next to nothing on clothing. You can see their butt. I know, Sabrina. I know, but you know what they're wearing. Have you seen what they're wearing? I saw videos of what like in California. It's like they're wearing nothing at all. You know what I mean? They're barely wearing anything. You can see their butt. They might as well just be running around naked. I know. And don't get me wrong, we don't. I mean, not even East Coast prostitutes dress like that. So it's a West Coast thing, you know. Yeah, it seems to me it's like it's a West Coast thing. I mean, well, only West Coast prostitutes dress that like like they're wearing nothing at all, you know. Um, I guess it's because it's a warmer climate over there. You know, it's a warmer climate. They can do that. East Coast prostitutes can't dress like that. No, they can't. Because it's a much more different environment here because it's a little colder. I know. I heard about the world's oldest profession. Yeah. That's so true, Brendan. Oh yeah, some interesting times we live in, isn't it? Wow. Well, that's all I can say is wow. Yeah, it would be a lot. This is what, and I agree with you, Brain Dead. A lot of times when you basically make something illegal, it becomes, how can I say, an underground affair. You know what I mean? It takes it all out of like safe brothels and into the streets. Um, I look at New Zealand. They made prostitution legal. You don't see prostitutes on the streets anymore in New Zealand. No, no. Basically, now they got brothels. You know what I mean? Everything's done legitimately. They got and the prostitutes have to go through severe. They have to go through a lot of medical testing every every couple weeks to make sure they don't have any serious diseases. So the girls are cleaner. You know what I mean? They're medically. It's like a lot of regulations on the medical testing. You know, so I think that's a good thing. And there's limit, and basically there's age limits on what, if you want to get into that business. They make sure that there's age limits. Yeah, basically. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. And it's not on the streets. It's in like, the best thing about that is that a lot of times that stuff isn't on the streets. It's in like private businesses where no one can see, where they're not in the view of children. They're not in the view of other people. Where basically you don't have that on the streets where it makes your street look bad. It's in basically a building that no one looks into. You know what I mean? Yeah, very much so, Sabrina. It's a lot better of a system because you don't want it out on the streets, because that's in the view of children. That's in the view of families. You know, it doesn't make your neighborhood look good. You know, but if it's legalized and if it's in brothels, it's out of the way. It's not a problem. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. No, no, I wouldn't suggest that to any man. I don't think any man wants to marry a hooker. So I think it would be a good idea to legalize prostitution as long as it's out off the streets. It gets it off the streets. Legalizing prostitution would get it off the streets. It would get it off the streets and basically in brothels, and basically in secluded brothels where people don't have to see it. People don't have to see it at all. You won't see it on the streets anymore. It solves the problem. Puts it in, gets it off the streets and puts it in brothels. That's a little bit different, Sabrina. A little bit different than prostitution. Prostitution wouldn't be like dope because it's not like it's addictive or nothing. Well, if one of the patrons is acting up, I would think so. You know what I mean? I mean, there's always rules of conduct. Sabrina. All right, we got some good stuff here. But enough about that kind of stuff. I mean, okay, we got some good stuff going on. That's funny, Brain Dead. All right. All right, let's talk about music. Well, I guess we can talk about music, can't we? Is there anybody here that's a fan of like 80s and 90s music? That's some of my favorite favorite decades of music. I'm thinking like Counting Crows, Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones and me. Pass me a bottle, Mr. Jones. Yeah. Early 2000s had some good music, I will say. I know Collective Soul. Not one of my favorites. I'm more of a fan of like Alice in Chains. The grunge era. Alice in Chains was, the lead singer, Lane Staley, had a voice that you can't replicate. There's nobody that could sing like Lane Staley. Nobody could sing like Lane Staley. Soundgarden was great, but I couldn't hold a candle to Alice in Chains. Man. I did like Black Hole Sun. That was a great Soundgarden song. Everyone has their opinion. Chris Cornell was an awesome guy. By the way, I don't think he committed suicide. I think Chris Cornell was murdered. Mm-hmm. You should look into that about what happened to Chris Cornell. He was exposing some powerful people. Mm-hmm. He was going to do a documentary. He had a foundation where he was trying to protect children. He was going after some powerful networks, I'll say. You know what I mean? No, it isn't. No, it isn't. What's up, Hammer and Nails? No, that's not what happened. You better look into it. He was actually doing some great things. He was doing some charity. He started a foundation for victims of human trafficking. He was about to expose some powerful people, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. Chris Cornell, look into that. I think that you don't know exactly what happened. Yeah, I'm a fan of Chris Cornell. He was awesome. But Alice in Chains just did it for me. The vocals of Alice in Chains was, well, way he yeah. Yeah, Sabrina. Who's Chester? Brain dead. Oh, oh boy. Oh yeah. They were working together, I think they were, and so they both were. How you doing, Vlad? Man, this midday stream is getting good. All right. Well, we got some good stuff here. If you just came in, give me a like, thumbs up, people. Right now, peaceful in my little town. But there are a lot of things going on in the USA. I've said this a million times. If you're white, get armed. Those are good. I'll tell you what. There's this young woman, okay, on Instagram that dresses like she's from the 1980s. She is hot, smoking hot, like 20-year-old. And boy, she dresses. She has her hair like the 1980s. Ah, she has that 80s style. Man, oh man. I thought the 80s babes were gone, but damn. I guess that's making a comeback. There's I just think the women today can't hold a candle to the 80s babes. The 80s babes were although they burned out pretty quickly, they were the hottest. They were the prettiest. The 80s babes were they were the prettiest bunch of ladies. The ladies in the 80s. I mean, you cannot match the 80s babes. You cannot. You know? The 80s babes were like, I mean, there's some. How come they look better than women today? That's the weird thought. The 80s babes look better than the women today. You know? You look at pictures of women in the 80s, right? Some of the prettiest women in the 80s. It's like this woman is is like a throwback to an older time. Like she looks like she should have been born in the 80s, but she wasn't. You know, it's like exactly. The 80s babes were the best looking women. I will say that in a million years. I mean, I think that they were the best looking, the best dressed, you know. Now you could say that maybe their styles and their were a little bit how can I say out there, but they look good. They made it look good. You cannot do that. I mean, the 80s babes were like they don't hold a candle, you know. Oh no, it won't. I'm just saying. I mean, I just wish there were more. I wish maybe there's a resurgence of 80s babes coming back. Yeah, that's cool, but you know, Baywatch is okay. I don't vote for all, but the 80s babes, I mean, they were the hottest. They were the prettiest. Now, Sabrina, you were probably from that generation. You were probably a young lady in the 80s. I'm kind of betting. Oh yeah, definitely. There was Heather Locklear, Kelly LeBron. There was so many others. There was that girl from the Labyrinth. I forget her name now. So many pretty women in the 80s. It was just like, whoa. Even when the ones that weren't famous, they were good looking. Something. What does that mean, Sabrina? Type. Well, I know that, Sabrina. But what I'm saying is that you're from that generation, and you can tell that the women in the 80s looked different than they were cut from a different cloth than the women of the day. You know what I mean? They weren't so easily offended, you know. You know, women today are cut. I mean, the women in the 80s were cut from a different cloth. They had a different attitude compared to the ladies today, you know. Yeah, that's a good idea because some of them Russian women, I'm telling you, Vlad, are pretty hot, feminine too. I'm not saying that, Sabrina. You know, I'm just saying. What I'm saying is basically, if you look at if our generation, I mean, if you look at the women who were in the 80s, like the 80s babes, Sabrina, that's what I'm talking about. The 80s babes, they were cut from a different cloth back then. They're not like the women today. They actually cared about how they looked. They wanted to look their best, even when they were walking out on the street. They certainly didn't dress in pajamas. You know, exactly, Sabrina. Exactly. You were built different. You moved different. I can't stand that wearing your pajamas out in the middle of the street. You look She looks terrible. Brain dead. Look, I'm going to say something about men. We don't care about the brands of clothes you wear, but we do care if you basically present yourself right. Men don't care if you wear the hottest brands of clothes, but we do care that you present yourself like a woman. You know, wearing a dress, looking nice, you know. how you present yourself, you know? Yeah, it's a terrible thing, Vlad. At least in Russia, you don't have that problem. That's a possibility, Bullfrog. But women in the 80s, they were just cut from different cloth, you know? Oh, yeah, definitely. A lot of people say that. It's the camera. But we're talking about the 80s, right? A lot of young women, they'll get upset about what I'm saying. They're like, "Oh, you're an asshole for saying that." Um, now, I tell this to them, but you can. Here's the thing: if men are saying women looked better in the '80s, right? Wouldn't it be more logical to say, well, if women look better in the '80s and men are like goggling over like how women dressed and looked and acted in the '80s, maybe you should adopt an '80s attitude, an '80s way of dressing, like that girl on Instagram, like that woman on Instagram. She's dressed totally '80s. Maybe you should bring a dress in '80s style. So true, Bullfrog. So true. Very funny, Hammer. So true, Bullfrog. How many pajamas have you seen? Brain dead. Now, I've said this before. If I could get myself a personal female robot that looks, I'd have her in an '80s hairstyle, in an '80s style dress. She'd look '80s. She would talk '80s. I'd make her look as retro as I could. As a matter of fact, I'd have her look like Heather Locklear in the '80s. Heather Locklear or Kelly LeBrock. Why don't we make it Kelly LeBrock? I'm messing around, of course. Yes, there is, Sabrina. Good one, Brain. Yes, there is actually. You can get that. Not a big market for it when it comes to women, but they're still available. Brain dead. That's how bad it's getting. But bullfrog. You're so true, Sabrina. Oh, All right. Not today. Well, maybe. Brain dead. Another. All right, Berg show. That's good, Vlad. Good venison. Keep you going. I will say this: Russian women are very pretty. Vlad. I was told by somebody who's traveled to Russia. When they travel to Russia, they feel like they've gone back in time to the 1980s. That Russia is kind of like a time capsule of the 1980s. Amazing. Cool, Bullfrog. Yes, 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 you do. Vlad. All right, got 10 views, only 2 thumbs up. Come on, smash that like button. Smash that like button. Um, Women are women, brain dead. Interesting, Larry. Al Torino. I got a lot of money. That was my best stuff. I was able to buy a copy of Beavis and Butthead, the complete series. I got some gift cards. I got a gift card for Dunkin' Donuts. So thank you, Vlad. In your country, poop shooters are beaten to death. So that's pretty good. Do I have to explain this? Poop shooter is well, a fudge packer. Okay. Yeah. Amen, Hunter. Amen. Yep. Free will? No, no, brain dead. Free will is a thing, but but at the same time, we have a minority, a very deranged minority, who for a while have been dictating to us, that we should be accepting of things that just aren't acceptable, that aren't normal. You know, that's the problem. In my opinion, they should have their own neighborhoods. They should not have their. They should not be allowed to have parades in front of children or nothing like that. Nothing. Not saying that we should do bad things to them or nothing, but I think that they should be. If they want to live like that, they can't live in like regular society. No, man. I think what Russia does is very important. Well, we're not going to be able to get them all out antics, but what we can do is make sure that they don't live in people's neighborhood. Is make sure that they can't have public displays of that kind of stuff. I think what Russia does is very important. Is they outlaw public displays of that stuff where you can't. It's not in movies. It's not in TV series. It's not anywhere. You can't have parades of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? There's no clubs. Everything was banned in Russia. Everything. That kind of stuff was banned. Okay. Public displays of poop shooters were banned in Russia. They still do it, but it's got to be behind closed doors, which is a lot better, in my opinion. You know? Well, I do believe that it's a new use for Epstein Island. We could put him there. Look, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a right wing thinker, okay? I've become more Christianized. Amen. It's very true. I do believe in free will, but at the same time, I think Russia has the right idea. You know, I'm not saying I agree with Russia on everything, but I think their stance on poop shooters has been very good. They make sure that they can't publicly have any influence on society, and I think that's good. The problem is they've been too public, too influential, a very small minority dictating to the majority here in the West. Exactly. Putin banned those poop shooter clubs. He banned the parades. He banned all the symbols of the poop shooters. The rainbow flags, they're not there. They've been banned. They're not. You cannot publicly show that stuff. Yeah, exactly. Hello, Scarlett. But that being said, let's talk about something else. Let's talk about machetes. Good old machete. I didn't like a good machete, in my opinion. My Colombian smash it. Yeah. How many people have held a machete in their hand? Funny, Scarlett. Well, yeah, kind of like Brain Dead. All right, pass me. Ah, nothing like a good machete. A lot of third worlders use machetes a lot, and from Muslims to South Americans. So they've been a little bit brain dead, a little bit. After the birthday party, it's just been guess I've been sleeping a lot. But I'm much I got a lot of job offers, which is good. Not gonna say when or where. Yeah. Okay, we got some good stuff here. Dance the morning. Sha la 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 la. All right, we got some good stuff. All right. We got 9 views and only 4 likes. I think we can get them up to maybe one more like to 5. Can we not? Yeah, we got another. Oh, no, brain dead. Oh, another thing I want to talk about. A man that is an awesome guy. Okay. In the early days, he kind of was an influence in my prepping. I talked about him late. He goes by the name Mr. Bill. His channel is named Donzi. Let's see. Let me go. Donzi 52. Donzi, as in lowercase DONZ 52. He's a common sense guy, older fella, who has a lot of common sense prepping solutions. I was following his channel way back in the day. Anyway, he has cancer. It's very sad. No, Jantix. No, Larry. Anyway, he has cancer. Mr. Bill has cancer, and it's very sad. He always has a lot of common sense answers, Common Sense Solutions. How you doing, Bradley? And it's sad to find out, a very wise man has cancer, and he probably won't be with us for very long, Thank you, Sabrina. How you doing, Bradley? Anyway, I wanted to put that out there. Check out his channel. Donzy52. Donzy52. Yes, I know. So true, Sabrina. There was a guy I used to follow in the early days of my slingshot shooting, and he was a cool guy. He went by the name PFS Shooter on YouTube, and he invented the pickle fork shooter, which is the PFS, a unique kind of slingshot where you can draw it. Where he was quick with it too. He made it himself. Pa-ting, pa-ting, you know what I mean? You can pull that out like a quick draw. You know what I mean? Pa-ting, pa-ting, and it hits. It's like wow. And we were friends, and he disappeared for a while. And I heard from another friend the reason why he disappeared. He couldn't do it anymore because he had a stroke. Apparently can't shoot no more because he had a stroke, and that's very sad. So true, Brendan. That guy could just pull out the slingshot, load it quick, and hit. You got to see it. Very talented. He invented the PFS, the pickle fork shooter, which a lot of shooters imitate. A lot of PFSs are on the market, but he invented it. He invented it. Thank you, Sabrina. Tragedy can happen all our lives, I didn't know until later, Jantix. Didn't know until later. He was a guy I looked up to. I was impressed by his skill. He was a really cool guy. We talked a lot, on the comment section. He commented on my videos a lot. I wouldn't do that, Brain Dead. But he's still around, but he can't shoot no more. Very sad. But look him up on YouTube, PFS Shooter. I think you'll be very impressed with him. Some of his older videos, you know. So that's you know, in the slingshot tournament, I met Bill Hayes. Now that guy he's still around. He's cool too. I met him. He was very influential. I was really following his videos back in the day. Bill Hayes. He invented like the pocket predator. He basically sold the pocket predator slingshots, the frames. I got one right here. Where I put it? Somewhere around here. I don't know if I can find it. I showed it before. Yes, we got 5 likes now, 7 views. Sorry to hear that, Scarlett. All right. All right. Well, it's like 12:40. I got to prepare for church. God bless you. All glory goes to God. We didn't get a lot of views as much as we did before, but I got the good people coming in. That means everything. Thank you, Brain Dad.